Good day, everybody, and welcome to Transformation Tuesday. This is a really special Transformation Tuesday. You might see I have a guest with me. I'm going to tell you about her in a minute. Please say hello in the comments if you are with me here live, and if you're watching the replay, please type replay in the comments. I love to know who is here, who's joining me. I'm coming to you today from northern New Mexico. This is the ancestral lands of the Apache, Navajo, and Puebloan peoples. And I and my special guest are sitting in our little trailer right beside the Rio Chama. That is the Chama River. And I've always felt like, you've probably all heard of the Rio Grande, big river here, travels through a few states, not only New Mexico. I always feel like that's the masculine river. And I feel like the Rio Chama is the feminine. Yeah. So when you come here, I'll say when you come to New Mexico, like my special guest has, you will get to experience both sitting beside the Rio Grande and the Rio Chama. Really happy you're here. I'm Liz Forrest, and as I've shared with many of you, I have been studying and learning and teaching the shamanic practices of the Toltecs for over 25 years. I am the co-founder of the Kiva on Salt Spring Island, British Columbia, that I and my partner ran for 15 years. And since leaving the island, I've been teaching classes and workshops in person and online, and taking groups on journeys to the home of the Toltecs, which is the pyramid site at Teotihuacan, Mexico. And we go a couple times a year. So today, I'm super excited to introduce to you a very special friend of mine who is right here sitting beside me in my little trailer in New Mexico. I love it when visitors come. Karen's a longtime member of our Toltec community, and I'm so grateful to have her here to share with us her healing knowledge and, of course, her beautiful presence. Karen Bevier is a registered traditional Chinese medicine practitioner from British Columbia, and Karen works at the Heart Traditional Chinese Medicine Clinic on Salt Spring Island and Spring Wellness in Victoria. And she practiced homeopathic medicine for well over a decade before embarking on her degree as a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. She wanted to expand her healing practice, and so she is now practicing traditional Chinese medicine. And her philosophy of healing is also greatly informed by more than a 12-year apprenticeship on the Toltec path of shamanism, with the intent of bringing the best of traditional and modern energetic medicine that's in alignment with nature. Karen uses acupuncture, cupping therapy, homeopathics, herbs, lifestyle rituals to gently, I love this word, nudge the body towards a greater expression of health. So please help me welcome Karen to our Transformation Tuesday. And we are sharing a microphone. So I'm just going to pass the mic over.
Thank you, Liz.
You are so welcome.
This is my first interview ever, and it couldn't be in a more beautiful, incredible place. You should see it, you guys. It's incredible here. It's a flowing river. How do you say it? Chama or
Chama.
Chama.
Mm-hmm. The Chama
Just
River.
flowing away down there among the cottonwoods. It's very peaceful and very serene, and we had a wonderful road trip coming up here. I'm really glad to be here. Thanks.
It's great to have you, Karen. So let me ask you, Karen, how did you know? How did you come to know that you wanted to be a healer, that you wanted to offer healing work that you so passionately do? I've known you for a long time, and I know that this is your passion. How did you decide this is what you wanted to do with your life?
Well, honestly, it wasn't altruistic. It was like many healers, a way of just trying to heal myself, and just gathering information and tools and trying to understand my body, and becoming fascinated with the kinds of medicine that involve or acknowledge the mind as part of sickness. And so, having grown up in the Western system, and, I think I actually even did want to go into health sciences just because I was fascinated by biology. And it just wasn't for me. And I dropped out of that and went into anthropology and studied different cultures and belief systems, and it fascinated me. And my favorite course, I think, in all that time was medical anthropology, where we learned about, entire different belief systems around healing and how the causes of healing could vary from culture to culture. That, viruses and bacteria are just one way of looking at illness. There's other ways too, like um, emotional entities lobbing onto you, like in Nepalese cultures, or um, all kinds of ways. And again, when I was taking that course, I had no idea that I was going to end up studying Chinese medicine or homeopathy, but it caught my attention, and that has been my path. Has always been following my heart and my curiosity and doing little reality checks along the way. Is this practical? Is this practical? Okay, yeah, keep going, keep going. And so it's really been that journey of the heart of learning and discovering more and understanding how the mind can play such a role in making us sick and in making us well, and that the medicine involves healing the heart and the mind as well as the body for it to be, truly healing and not suppressive or a band-aid, right? Or just carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. I realize we're sharing a microphone. I hope you all heard that question that I asked Karen in the first place about what drew her to be a healer. That was my question. And what a great answer. And I love that, Karen. You follow your heart. I mean, everything else that you said was so valuable. Yeah, that we're more than physical. We're more than a physical vehicle, absolutely. And I know we all recognize that now. Yeah, in at this time we've had lots of teachers and philosophers and shamans, and many people tell us that. And it seems like the gap between spirituality and medicine is shrinking, and so that we realize we are energy systems on many levels. So I love that you followed your heart and you're doing what you're doing. I also wanted to ask you, how has the Toltec practices and the wisdom of shamanism that you have studied for so many years with me and with Gloria Valencia and with others, how has that supported you personally and or professionally on your path?
Well, I mean, I don't think I would be who I am today if I hadn't read Don Miguel's book, The Four Agreements, which was, I think, probably the only self-help book I had read, and it's like, oh, this book makes sense. And then I found your little ad in the newspaper in Salt Spring, right? And it's like, oh yeah, that book really made sense. I wonder what this is about. And yeah, there you go, following your heart and your curiosity, and that launched a whole eye-opening way of not only just seeing the world, but of developing myself through a rigorous archaeology of the self, right? Of every layer of who I am and how I am and how I be in the world. And yeah, it's like a lifetime of work. It never stops, really. It gives you a framework to work with. And what I love about the Toltec practice is like how grounded it is in nature, which is, a beauty to it that speaks to me. It's simple in that way. How can we get inspired by the animal energies around us, the plant energies around us? How do they reflect teachings to us that we need at certain times in our life? So the benefits of that practice, I mean, professionally, I would say that it allows me to hold space for people in a way that is non-judgmental,
Mm-hmm.
compassionate, and caring, and unperturbed, to be in acceptance of whatever's happening right here, right in front of us, that it's okay. And I think by only really kind of having that grounding, and trust, self-trust, trust in nature, trust in spirit, that you can do that. I learned that from you. Yeah.
And I learned it from my
Yeah.
teacher, and that's how things get passed. Yeah. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
really fortunate to have that here in 2023.
Hmm. Yeah, and personally, I mean, it transformed my relationships. I mean, in every way. I mean, like everyone, had my challenges and no tools, and commitment to being right. um, you know, and it helped really create more space for dialogue and for um, changing my mind and listening and taking responsibility for, the ways that I maybe wasn't in integrity or could do better, right? It always teaches us to do better, do better. And so I feel really grateful for those practices for my family. I feel like my family is really in a place that I'm proud of because of that. So
Hmm.
it's been a huge benefit. Hmm.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Mm.
Bear with us, we're sharing a microphone here.
It's intimate.
It's very intimate. I just wanted to comment on what did you say? Archaeology of Self?
Hmm.
That's the title of a book, don't you think? Maybe it's already been
I
published,
think
but
it's
that
probably
is
not original.
great. Archaeology of Self. That's
Hmm.
for sure. So we have just passed through autumn equinox. We're going into a full moon now.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and so we're moving towards more darkness, less light. And this is often a time of the year when we can feel a little unwell or, get a little sick with whatever viruses or bacteria might be passing through because we're moving out of summer and into the fall and then into winter. And so I wanted to ask you, Karen, if you could share with us today, what can we do to prepare ourselves in relation to the work that you do? If you give us a couple of tips about what we could be doing now to prepare ourselves before we move into the real darkness and different temperature, cooler temperatures of winter.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, yes, equinox just passed. And so in the TCM worldview, the Chinese medicine worldview, or East Asian medicine, it's more than China for sure. Um, this is like when the yin and yang energies are exactly balanced. So we move from summer, where it's like full on up and out yang energy, summer solstice, energy is hot and active, days are long, and now the yang energies are declining and the yin energies are climbing. And so we just passed the equinox where it's at equal point, and now the yin is increasing until we get to the winter solstice, and then we get that sparkly yang starting to come back. So for yin, at this time, what we want to do is cultivate that, and yin is like fluids. It's like blood. It's fluid. It's liquids in our body, and so we want to nourish that and protect that. And the autumn, or the lung time, in this calendar is threatened by dryness. Like if you look at your garden, it's all drying out, right? Like all the plants are getting gone to seed, they're looking dried out, and we want to protect against that in our bodies. We don't want to dry out because then we will be susceptible to illness at that point. So at this time of year, it's a good time to protect the yin, to nourish the yin, nourish the fluids, protect against dryness. On a very basic level, it's like, oiling your skin, to keep the fluids inside so you don't dry out. You're in a very dry area of the world, right?
Yes.
And back home, it's hard to think that, dryness is a problem because it's so damp where I live. But still, just look at the gardens, right? And so other things we want to do are to eat foods that are wet, and ensuring you're having at least one wet meal a day, like, soups and stews and this
Okay.
is to help build fluids. Like drinking water is important, hydration is important, but we don't hold it as well when it's not, cooked with salt and other vegetables there, or like bone broth. There's other nutrients in the water that tell our body to hang on to it, and hold it, not just pee it out.
Mm-hmm.
So other tips are like eating food that are white color, because the fall is associated with the color white. It's a metal element, and things like pears are very nourishing to the yin. They help hold that hydration, or like onions and scallions, and these are protective, against illness, and they're also part of this white theme of the metal element. And another simple tip, I mean, Chinese medicine is so vast, it's diet, it's mindset, it's exercises, and so some other things you can do to strengthen the lungs is like when you wake up in the morning. Can you see me? Basically like Tarzan here, right? Like you're tapping the lungs. And you do that for a few minutes in the morning when you wake up, and that just wakes up the lungs and activates the lung qi, which has a protective function. And the last thing is, to help with the mind, the emotion of the fall is grieving, you know,
Mm.
um, and so being intentional around that is a good idea. Taking some time to look at the last few months and what do you need to let go, or what are you letting go, and giving yourself some space to grieve that, and and then balancing that as well, so that we don't get pulled into the dreariness of autumn, of having community or appreciating nature, or things that lift the spirit too, so that, especially for older people, so that we don't get depressed with the fall season. So watching the mind, that we don't get pulled in, letting go if we need to let go, and raising the spirit with whatever practices do that for you. And so those are some tips of how to raise our strength, our resilience. One last thing I'll say is, if we do get sick, which happens, just happened to me, and that being sick is okay too, to
Hmm.
to clear, right?
Yeah.
It's important to like flush the body and clear toxins, and just rebalance, and to really just let ourselves have the time to do that, and and to be okay with just going inwards, and letting ourselves heal and recover and come out the other side a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great. I've learned some things, which I hope I do every day. Yeah, the things that you talked about, wet food. Hadn't really thought about, okay, what's wet food? Yeah, soups and stews, nourishing. Miso, would that be in there too? Is
Yeah,
that a
yeah.
good one? Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so great. And on all levels of preparing ourselves for autumn. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Karen.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being
It's such a
here with me in New
joy.
Mexico, and thanks to all of you out there. And if you're interested in more information about what Karen Bevier does on the West Coast, you can give her, I'm going to put in her information in the comments. You can contact her and talk to her about that. And of course, if you're interested in speaking with me about any upcoming journeys or classes in Toltec shamanism, I'm going to put my contact information in the comments as well. And I'm always happy to offer a 30-minute complimentary session to any of you to have a more introduction and give you more details about what it is that I teach and have been teaching for all these years. So thank you very much for joining us. I will see you next Tuesday. Karen will not be here. She will be back home in British Columbia. Yeah. Thanks so much. Mwah. Enjoy your day.